Time check is 6 a.m. It's actually the last Friday of the month of October in the year 2023. Good morning, and you're watching the first bulletin of the day right here on TV3 on New Day. My name is Josh Quinn. Coming up this morning, severe power outage looms in parts of the country as Gridco announces a lack of gas supply to Tema. Funeral rites of Gambanya to proceed as injunction placed on ceremony has been set aside. Also coming up this morning, NADMO appeals for a coordinated effort in distributing relief items to flood victims after reports of chaos at some safe havens in the Boto region. Former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor hits back at former Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko, insisting he cannot escape blame for the $140 million judgment debt. And on the foreign front, Nigeria's Supreme Court opposed the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ending months of legal battles over presidential race. We've got details of these and many more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. My name is Josh Quinn. Remember, you're live on DSTV channel 279. Well, let's begin from the energy sector because the Ghana Grid Company Limited, Gridco, has announced that parts of the country will experience power outages during peak times. In a statement, Gridco explained that this is due to limited gas supply to Tema, causing a supply gap of 550 megawatts at peak time. It said the lack of gas supply will affect consumers in different parts of the country. Sections of the public had been expressing their frustrations about recent power outages. Gridco, in its statement, expressed regret for the inconvenience caused to consumers. They, however, failed to state when power will be fully restored. Well, this is an issue of great concern. We'll surely follow up and update you in our subsequent bulletins, get you all the reactions that matter. And our former Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, is pushing for a probe into how the nation incurred a $140 million judgment debt. Government in 2017 terminated an agreement with Ghana Power Generation Company, saying keeping the deal means the nation will be spending on power it does not require.
Ghana in 2015 entered into an agreement with power producer Ghana Power Generation Company GPGC for the provision of a fast-track power generation plant. This was at the time the nation was experiencing energy crisis. Following a change in government in 2017, a decision was taken to terminate the agreement since the nation risked spending more on power it did not require. The company dragged government to an international arbitrator who ruled that the termination was unlawful. GPGC has since been trying to enforce a $140 million judgment debt by seeking to sell major properties belonging to Ghana located in the United Kingdom. This includes the Regina House, which houses the Ghana International Bank in London. Former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor had publicly stated that the former Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko had questions to answer. Boakye Agyarko has issued a statement arguing that the decision to terminate the deal was one taken by Cabinet, but the Pro East Member of Parliament is still not impressed.
He signed a letter of termination. Any minister has responsibility for what he signs. The committee members are not here to tell us what he informed. In any case, advice has always never been binding. Advice remains advice. You take the ultimate decision. It is your responsibility.
He wants a probe into the matter.
First of all, I call for two inquiries. The president might institute an internal inquiry to unravel what led to this. Cabinet is advisory to the president. Then at the level of the legislature, since the decision to terminate was taken by the executive arm of government, it is the legislature that has oversight responsibility over the executive. We also have to set up an inquiry
Ghana's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, meanwhile, says it is working with the Finance Ministry to ensure that the debt is paid to avoid the sale of the properties.
And now let's talk about the Akonsombo and Kpone Dam spillage, shall we? Following the devastating flood, a hidden struggle is unfolding in safe havens where relief items are distributed. It has become the survival of the fittest. My colleague Emmanuel Samani reports persons living with disabilities unable to access any items due to the ongoing scramble for these items.
Let me taste you. Since you've moved here, we understand that you're having a lot of challenges receiving some of the relief items. Is that the case?
Yeah, that is the case. When items are brought to this place, they share it according to the number of houses that are found on the campus. And if you are not quick, and then they have registered some of the people, they will just leave you just like that, and you'll be all around without anything.
Mintimi jibi endura na ekujoto nkasa na di nyama no editu mensa.
But for the intervention of Ukudeta Blakwa, I wouldn't have received anything. We are not able to fight for the items when they come in.
So we understand that currently some of the relief items are being shared here at the St. Kizito Senior High School. And clearly, no arrangements have been made for persons living with disability, to get some of the items. And so we're here to see for ourselves if indeed that is the case.
So this is a situation here, and as you can see, one person, an elderly woman is leaving the scene. Very chaotic here because people are trying to get relief items, and so it's absolute chaos, anarchy, if you ask me. Absolute chaos and anarchy going on here at the St. Kizito Senior High School. One of the safe havens, not too safe. One of the safe havens, not too safe. And so persons living with disability can't even get in. Even abled individuals can't get their hands on some of the items. How much more persons living with disability? Let me quickly engage one of the persons with disability here. Sir, you've been telling me about how chaotic things get here. How does that make you feel looking at how all these things are going on?
In fact, I don't even know what to say. This is how it always goes on. And how can we, as Physical Challenge, go and compete for things like this? We cannot. And we think the community is not actually helping us at all. So if any organization is presenting an item, it means we should be giving our own separately before announcement to be made. Because things like this, we cannot in any case join them, compete, and take any item at all for ourselves. It's really, really difficult.
So that is the current situation here at the St. Kizito Senior High School. Absolute chaos, absolute anarchy, not entirely safe, even though it's a safe haven. And obviously, this is not the way to go. It's very disappointing at the leaders here at the St. Kizito Senior High School. We'll definitely keep an eye out on how the distribution process unfolds in subsequent days, and we'll update you subsequently right here on TV3. Reporting for TV3 News, Emmanuel Samani, St. Kizito Senior High School.
Meanwhile, Deputy Director General of the National Disaster Management Organization, Seji Saji Amedonu, says his outfit has a distributed plan in place and have officers stationed at the safe havens to help coordinate the relief items. Take a listen.
The past few days, we have actually even put a relief administration committee in place that has all stakeholders represented on the committee. We have the MP on it, we have the district chief executive on it, we have the traditional authorities, the two traditional authorities, and the other traditional authorities over bank on this committee. And we even have political parties on the committee because we try to represent all stakeholders and all shades of opinion on this committee.
Right.
So that these are the people who oversee the distribution of relief items that come in. So most of the relief items that come in now, these committees are mostly present while these items are received. There is registration of pregnant women, nursing mothers, the aged, and those with disabilities. I think it is last week that I had the list of all the disabled people people with disability in most of the camps. And we actually did some allocation to all of them. I think the number they brought was about 62. And we did some relief administration to them differently from what is done to the households on the safe haven.
And all through the night and this morning, some Good Samaritans have been helping here at the Media General premises to sort out items and help load the trucks with the donations given. Many of the volunteers said they decided to join the Media General relief efforts because they could not sit aloof as a major humanitarian crisis unfolded before their eyes. Some of the donations that have come in so far include water, clothes, drinks, mattresses, amongst others, which need to be loaded onto the trucks and transported to the affected areas. The volunteers said one way to help is to contribute their time and effort to a worthy cause, and as Media General's 3 Foundation solicits for support for the flood-affected victims. While it's not too late, you can still come through with your donations. Kitwebi and Sua, let's make sure these affected persons are given some sort of respite. And thanks in advance to all these prospective donors. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the morning news on TV3 with me, Josh Quinn. More news this morning. Markets in many parts of Accra will be shut down tomorrow, Saturday, October 28, to pave way for the funeral of the late Gamania, Na Dede Omaidro III. Traditional authorities gave the directive, and this has led to some markets and shops experiencing a mad rush for food items and other essentials. The final funeral rites kick off this morning and will last for 3 days. Some of the markets were inundated with customers doing their last-minute purchases before the traditional curfew takes effect. Meanwhile, preparations have been underway for the funeral, which had been threatened with a court injunction. The injunction was set aside for the funeral to go ahead as planned. It starts from today, Friday, October 27, to Sunday, October 29, at the Gamancha Palace here in Accra.
When the news team arrived at the Gamancha's Palace, preparations were ongoing with heavy police presence. Asafo companies and other groups displayed the rich Ga culture amidst firing of musketry. Some dignitaries and corporate organizations had come to commiserate with the Traditional Council. A team from the Central Planning Committee were in court to settle an injunction case against the funeral. They were given a triumphant entry on return.
So we had to go to court today to deal with the matter once and for all. The order that people are misinterpreting has been set aside. So there's no order anymore. Then we have every right to proceed and do what we told you we were doing.
He called for unity.
We are all one. It's just one country. And this is an opportunity for us to also showcase our history. I believe that when you see our brochure, you see some of the historical accounts that have been picked therein, and you can take it from there.
As far as the Central Funeral Committee is concerned, every impediment to the organization of the funeral has been removed and the proceedings will continue as expected. Behind me is where the late Queen Mother, will be laid for public viewing and for other traditions to continue in the subsequent days. Tomorrow, Friday, there will be a vigil and also an interdenominational service to kickstart the funeral. Grace Hamwajiman, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's know what you make of stories that have been aired so far, particularly the effects of the dam spillage and the recent power outages. And just go onto our social media platform, particularly Facebook, because we are live. Engage us with your comments and opinions, and we'll surely read them and share them to the rest of the world. In more news this morning, a former Minister of State and founder of the African University College of Communication, Kojo Yankah, says Ghana's education must incorporate patriotism and indigenous knowledge to drive economic growth. And speaking at the 8th RT Orleans Pobi lecture in Accra, he said there's a need for an education system which places emphasis on moral values and problem solving. Take a listen.
So it is about the need to indigenize the country's education. According to Honorable Kojo Yankah, the country has not been able to solve its own economic challenges through education post-independence. He further contends, for instance, the country's education as it stands is lacking problem-solving skills.
We have not tailored our educational system to help us gain economic independence. See, the philosophy behind education should be to produce Ghanaians who will help to solve our economic problems. And then at the end of the day, you ask yourself, wait, we have all these minerals on the continent. Why are we poor? If we are taught from the beginning to relate to those resources, to those what we have, and then we are taught how to solve our problems with those resources, we won't be where we are.
Participants who took part in the 8th RT Orleans Pobi Memorial Lecture agree there is a need for a national conversation.
But you need a group that will take time to look at dispassionately, look at what is wrong with that. Just start with the question, why is all our education not helping us to solve our economic problems?
We need to train our students to be confident. We need to tell them that, look, you are worth something. You can do something. Everybody that God has created has a talent.
These things shouldn't die when we finish the lectures. We should take the actions from it and move forward and make our school even greater.
Christian Yale, TV3 News, Accra.
Now let's talk some politics. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is leading in the new poll for the November 4 MPP presidential primary conducted by Global Info Analytics. Out of a sample size of over 4,000 delegates, Dr. Bawumia garnered 43.5%, with Kennedy Japan in second place with 23.5%.
The poll comes barely 2 weeks to the crucial election. Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa, reveals the standing of each candidate.
If you look at the polls currently, he is on 43.5% and Kennedy on 23.5%. But you still have a chunk of voters who said they will not disclose their voting intention. That's about 14% of all delegates. Kennedy Japan is 20 points below or behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the race, which is not too bad if you assume that majority of people who said they wouldn't tell us would vote for him, because those people are anti-establishment, and we believe that they may break heavily towards him. The real issue would be about those who are genuinely undecided.
He also explains why a runoff is far-fetched.
It's unlikely to go into runoff. I don't think so, because of the performance of the two other candidates. They are pulling less than 1%, so they won't drag the race into runoff. Anybody who wins the race, it will be a one-touch win.
Duke Mento Poku, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's still stay in the camp of the MPP because the party has courted the support of the Electoral Commission and Ghana Police Service to handle its November 4 presidential primary. The party met with both institutions, urging the police service to take absolute control of security during the election. Judith Brown reports.
The police service has pledged its full support to ensure maximum security is provided at the upcoming New Patriotic Party NPP presidential primary slated for November 4. The Director of Public Affairs of the Police Service, ACP Grace Ansa Akrofi, explained a team will be dispatched at the various election centers.
And on the side of the police, a lot of security arrangements have been put in place. In the first place, the police has organized a one-day workshop for all its commanders across the regions to educate them on the guidelines that was provided to us both by the EC and the NPP towards the protection of the election. On the election day itself, the police is going to provide layers of security to make sure that every person is safe and it's secure.
Chairman of the Elections Committee, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, urged the police service to deal with persons who misconduct themselves during the election.
Police, we urge you to do your work on that day. No minister, no official, no person whatsoever has any jurisdiction over you, nor myself, nor members of our commission. Anything that is illegal is illegal. You are in charge. And we'll say this openly and publicly.
Deputy Chairman of the NPP Presidential Election Committee, Kwabena Bankwa, sent a caution to delegates to conduct themselves in a manner that will not mar the electoral process.
We do not expect delegates to take pictures of their votes, and that we do not expect them also to do anything that would mar the process. The police has assured us of strict rules, and if you violate the rules or you take the law into your own hands, the law will deal with you, and the party will ensure that the rules of engagement are held to the letter.
Deputy Director for Electoral Services Samuel Akwa indicated that the Commission is ready to supervise the process despite challenges regarding the deployment of election officials.
At the close of the elections, the results will be declared at all the 331 to the various regions for collation to be done at the regional offices of the Electoral Commission.
And now to some international news. Nigeria's Supreme Court has upheld President Bola Tinubu's election win, bringing to an end a legal challenge brought by his two main rivals, who argued that his victory was marred by irregularities. The ruling will give 71-year-old Tinubu a clear mandate to govern Africa's most populous nation, which is inflation, foreign currency shortages, a weakening naira, widespread insecurity, and crude oil theft. The biggest opposition, PDP, said it was alarmed and disappointed by the ruling, but Tinubu welcomed the judgment. We are all members of one household, and this moment demands that we continue to work and build our country together, Tinubu said in a statement. Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999 after 3 decades of almost uninterrupted military rule, but accusations of ballot rigging and fraud have followed its electoral cycles. Well, on that note, we end today's edition of the Morning News. For more news updates, just log on to our website, s3news.com. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Roland and my other colleagues will continue with the morning show. Have a good morning.
From now to the end of December, win instant prizes whenever you buy 30 Ghana cedis or more of Gino or Promo Tomato Mix, Gino Curry and Gino Max. Simply dial *844*99#. The code from your coupon followed by